Get ready, get ready, get ready. It's time for Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cusseau, and I am here at the fourth hour of our show with my co-host, Kylia Campbell O'Neill.
Hi.
Hey, Kylia, Happy New Year to you. You've been super, super busy.
Yes, I have. Happy New Year to everyone.
Well, listen, we want to take this opportunity to thank all of our listeners, first to our engineers at In Touch News and Radio. Thank you so much as we navigate still going through a pandemic, even though we thought we would be on the other side by now. But we still have to certainly make sure that we are being safe and we are wearing our protective gear, even though things seem a little like we're trying to get back to normal, but then there again, we're not. But for those of you that are tuning in, you have the opportunity to tune in on In Touch News Live. You can certainly go straight to their website. If you're looking at our flyer there, you can pick up Let's Talk Business on my Facebook page, on my personal Facebook page, Cheryl J. Cusseau, and as well, if you're on KCD's Facebook page, Ms. Kylia O'Neill. There are so many ways you can catch the show. And of course, for those that are listening via In Touch globally, we thank you so much for tuning in with us today. We've got a lot to talk about. You know, on the fourth hour of the show, it's all about fashion. Sometimes it's food and finance and fun. Well, today is going to be a fun day about fashion. I have two fashion gurus here, entrepreneurs. They know their game, they know the industry, and we have the experts in the house. Anji will be joining us shortly, but let's take a moment and catch up with Kylia, who for 2 months during our show, she was traveling. So how did you bring the new year in?
Well, of course, I brought the new year in church. It was an amazing time. We had an amazing service, although, you know, COVID was very high during that time. So we didn't have a lot of people in attendance, but we did have an amazing time. We wore our mask and we stayed safe. We had an amazing time. So I brought the new year in at church. And then on that day, we had sewing lessons. So that is how I brought it.
Kylia, you don't miss a beat or a day to teach someone how to stitch.
Don't.
Ushered in New Year's, church until after midnight, and there you are back up with the sewing class. And I get to see some of your videos, and I'm just so proud of what you're doing. When I was younger and growing up, my mom sewed, her sister sewed, everybody in the family. So she taught all of us how to sew, and I in turn taught even my sons. And I taught my kids how to sew as well. So to see you doing that, it would have been great to have attended a class like yours. So you two ladies have not met, but I'm sure you've seen the names. And we have the opportunity to introduce our guest. And really, she needs no introduction because, can you believe this, Anji? This is our third year. We're celebrating our third year of the show. And you were one of our first guests on the campus of 5508. And so we'll talk a little bit about Anji, but I must let you know that I am adorning a pair of Anji's earrings from Accent Style Boutique. And listen, yes, they're for pierced ears, and my ears are not pierced. But when you have a designer like Anji Degante, oh my goodness, she makes things happen and she converts them so that people like me can style long earrings as well. So I am super, super excited to have you back on. This is actually your third time on the show. So that's like one time in each year that we are about to celebrate. So I look forward to it. And look at her in her boutique.
Kylia, yes, I'm excited to be here.
You're wearing one of my favorite pieces. And you'll get to tell our radio listening audience a little bit about that piece. But I know we have new listeners who are joining in, and we certainly want to give them an opportunity to know just a little bit more about who you are and what you are all about, because there's just something that's super, super special about you. Both my co-host and my guests today are just They're like my adopted daughters. They're just amazing, and I love having them around. Anji, she's a designer and a humanitarian, and we're going to talk to her about that, so you'll know more in depth about how this young lady can do all of this. She's a small town girl with big city goals and ambition. She was born and raised in Tampa, Florida. Strong and African-centered community. In 2010, Anji co-founded Capital Living, a home health care agency that provides services to help folks to age in place. Anji, I love that term, age in place. Right before our show came on, In Touch News was on with Angela Birdson, and that's what she said. I help people age in place into Medicare. So I was like, okay, that's a new term put together, age in place. I've heard it twice today. But back to Anji. During this time, she developed her skills in social entrepreneurship, project management, staff development, and strategic planning. And in 2013, she decided to embark on a journey of deeper self-discovery and traditional African practices. At 22, you heard me right, she landed in Africa, East Africa, specifically in Kenya. Upon arrival, she quickly observed innovation, glamour, and beauty beyond the false narratives. She fell in love with Kenya, the people, the culture, the fashion, the food, and the language. In turn, she wanted to share this transformative experience with everyone, and I mean everyone. She believed everyone deserved their own little piece of home. She was determined to create the perfect souvenir. She began creating timeless designs using traditional fabrics and fine beads. It was during this blend of self-discovery, creativity, and constantly blooming love for Kenya that Accent Styles Boutique was birthed, an African-centered clothing and accessories boutique that has emphasis on social equity and fashion. Anji has skillfully cultivated a brand that allows your beauty to radiate from the inside out while supporting education and hygiene products for the youth. At Mama Fulea Children's Home, when Anji is not hand selecting content for her brand, she enjoys volunteering in her community, traveling domestically and abroad, vlogging, practicing extreme sports, and spending time with family and friends, as she is doing the third time here in the fourth hour of Let's Talk Business with SJC and my co-host, Kylia Campbell O'Neill. Anji.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's honestly a pleasure to always be on here. Anytime I'm in your presence, it is a good time, right? You're always dropping gems, right? You're always giving great fashion advice, mom advice, friend advice. So I love being on Let's Talk. I never know what I'm going to hear or what I'm going to learn.
Well, today it's all about you, the designer and the humanitarian. And we're looking, you're in your shop today. Are you able to just, because you see my favorite purses are just over your left shoulder. Are you able to just give us a panoramic view? So when the guests come into Accent Styles Boutique, look at there. And we're doing this for Kylia.
Yes, because I told her that I've never met you before. So hello and welcome to the show. And I also told her that I wanted to see inside of your boutique, and everything is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that I'm maybe my memory is bad, right? I'm officially 30 now, but I feel like I've met you maybe at the Ebony event pop-up. I had a pop-up at 5508 a few years ago.
Was it outside?
Yes. It was outside, and I believe that Mr. Rick Rollins introduced us.
We did meet. Okay, I remember now. Wow.
Yes.
I was going to take her there.
I haven't been to her store location. I would love to go inside, but I feel like I've sent a few referrals for like wedding dresses or things along those lines. So yeah, we haven't like had any like personal encounters, and we can definitely work on that. And I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, you know, that's my role. I'm all about collaborating and bringing people together. I think I came out of the womb doing just that. But listen, Anji, since you are in your shop, and I know right behind is one of my favorite purses, and just to acclimate some of the listeners who are seeing you perhaps for the first time, because the show is global, would you grab one of our favorite purses and give just a history of that?
I will grab a purse. I'll also grab
the laptop bag, the crossbody bag.
Right.
It's an incredible story.
Thank you. So these purses, if you see them, are very fibrous, but they also have the African print at the top. So the bottom is vegan, but it's fun. It's made from a sisal plant. Sisal is in that family of agave. And so while in Mexico, they use this plant for tequila and for facials, in Kenya, they use them for purses and for baskets. So in case you're struggling on being vegan, like this is the first step, fashionably.
Yes.
Like, let's do vegan the fun way.
Oh my goodness, I'll have to grab mine. And when we purchase from you, what happens, Anji?
So every time you shop at Accent Styles Boutique, a percentage of every single sale goes towards sending kids in Kenya to school. And so we give you the opportunity to like give back indirectly. You leave here with a beautiful accessory and a full heart. So that's the goal.
We're going to talk about your humanitarian experiences and how you're using your business and your love for supporting people and all that you have going on in the motherland. But we're going to come back and just get to know a little bit about you, the woman. And one of the things I like to do, especially when we have women on the show, is talk about the woman, her wisdom, and her work. So let's tell our radio listening audience something about you that I probably already know. Maybe I don't know. But what can you share? Because you just got back from Africa, right, Anji?
I did. I just got back not too long ago. I hosted a tour for 12 days, and I had about 25 people on that tour. So I just got back, and that was amazing.
And all of the people that went with you, were they people just all over, or were they here from the Tampa Bay area?
Many of them were from Tampa, but overall, they were from DC, they were from New York, they were from North Carolina, they were from all over. Some people I knew very well, and some people I had never met at all. But they happened to shop online. They happened to hear about the cause, and they joined the tour.
I tell you, that's one of the advantages of social media. It's right there. You can put it out there, and you would hear from people all over the world. I was reading a post, and there was a young lady that wanted to go to a different country, and she just put a post out on Facebook and said, "Who's willing to go with me? Who knows a little bit about the country?" And I thought, wow, she's brave. The pandemic did not stop her. It was something she wanted to check off of her bucket list. So we're going to swing back to my co-host, Kylia. So you got a snippet inside of Accent Styles Boutique. Aren't you just drawn to the fabrics and the colors, the designs, and the pieces? Yes, and hit my earrings.
Everything is so beautiful. And of course, with Black History Month, everyone is interested in the Ankara and the African attire. It's so funny because there are actually people that do wear African or Afrocentric pieces throughout the entire year. It's not just to be worn in February. I have clients that order African stuff all the time, or on Ankara dresses and skirts all the time, and I think it's beautiful to wear it, throughout the entire year for any season, whether it's winter or spring or summer. So it's just so much that you can do with the fabrics and the pieces, and you can wear them in so many different ways. So I think it's beautiful. Everything is absolutely beautiful.
Kylia, you would appreciate this. You guys don't know her, but she owned, a dear friend of mine, Felicia Winton's Taylor, owned one of our first African-American bookstores. And her tagline was, when you come and you read and you shop books, and it was where for Black History Month is celebrated 365. So every day is Black History Month. And she would always drill that into people. Why wait until February, to wear your African garbs? but celebrate your culture and your history. And yes, we're doing it here in January, but also because it is a popular season, people do tend to look for where they can purchase, and now have designed their Afrocentric attire, or they can certainly purchase it from straight from Kenya and some other areas right at Accent Styles Boutique. So back to you, and thanks for alluding to that. Black history should be celebrated every day because it's our history.
Amen.
So what would you like to know? Tell us something about yourself, Anji. I read a little about you, but you didn't just, you were a girl from Tampa. There were so many things. I think what I remember, you were getting ready, or your parents wanted you to go off to school, but you gave them an amazing ultimatum.
I did. I think before I dive into that, something that I'm not sure if you know, right? A fun fact, just because I feel like super generous and making this very personable this morning. But a fun fact is when I was younger, my sister and I are about 7 years apart. And so I used to use her ID when I lived in Tampa. Now, by all means, right? This is not advice to younger listeners to do as I did. This is just me sharing a story, right? So I used to use her ID. A few years ago, they had this thing where ladies would drink free before 11. And I wasn't a drinker. I've never really been like a heavy drinker, but I would get all of the free drinks that I could without ice, and I would sell them to the men and the club for half price. And so at 19, I realized like, oh my gosh, I don't want to trade dollars for hours. I can definitely make a lot of money by being my own boss, being innovative, and creating my own lane. And so I did that for a while, maybe a few weeks, until I got caught by the bouncer, like, hey, this is illegal. You don't have a liquor license. This alcohol was free. It's for women. You're giving it to men. But it was very, very profitable.
Oh my goodness. The entrepreneur spirit was already there, and I did not know that about you. But when we're sisters and we have an older sister, there is always something we try to take advantage of, whether sneaking their clothes out of their closet, trying to wear it and look grown up. I love it. Thank you for your transparency. But that's what we wanted to know, what makes you tick and what ticks you off, Miss Anji?
Honestly, I can't think of anything that probably ticks me off. I might have to dig very deep for that one.
That's amazing.
I typically kind of just like let things go. Or the biggest thing that I've learned throughout the years is accepting people for who they are, like when I allow them to enter my circle. And so when people do things, they don't necessarily tick me off. I'm like, that is them. That is how they're wired. And whatever they do typically doesn't affect my personal choices. So I don't have things that tick me off. Something that excites me is probably givers, like people that give back effortlessly, or people that are very conscious of the planet, people that support zero waste lifestyle, meaning that throw away as little as possible and upcycle as much as possible. People that, are plant moms. Those are the things that make me excited. Those things make me tick. People that are open to traveling, and people that speak more than one language, that are open to communicating to all people. Those things make me tick. But I can't think of anything that ticks me off.
I love it. And there you have it from this 30-year-old. We said we were going to talk about the woman, the wisdom, and that is some great wisdom advice right there. So I'm going to let you two fashion gurus kind of exchange in a dialogue. And I know that Dr. Davis and I will make one of your trips, but we're waiting for the pandemic to end. And so we're going to go over there to the motherland with you.
Definitely. I encourage everyone to travel and to travel safely, and do it when they get ready, right? Like do it when they feel comfortable. There's no pressure. Africa is not going anywhere. And the best thing about home is that her arms are always open and she's always waiting for you. So there is no time frame of when you can come home.
All right, you're about to hear woman to woman, Kalia and Anji talk fashion. Kalia?
Okay, so one question that I do want to ask Anji is, what inspired you to only go the African Afrocentric route that you're in? Like, what was your inspiration to go in
So
that?
I think I kind of navigated into that direction indirectly. I think it's something that like happened naturally over the course of time while I was in Kenya. Um, but I do think I was very comfortable going that route because I was raised in AME Church, African Methodist Episcopal. And so I grew up with an African centered lifestyle. Like the African fashion wasn't something that was new to me. Um, the babies being tied on their back wasn't something that was like new to my eyes. Kwanzaa, I grew up with it. So I was always very African centered. In my whole entire life, I wore African designs. And so to see them in a more authentic manner while I was in Kenya, I think gave me a deeper love for it. Like, oh my gosh, this is what I've always seen, but it's executed so authentically. And so that's what moved me. That's what really made me go into the African fashion direction. But more than that, I really just wanted to connect people to home, because going there at 22, people were very, not only surprised, but very proud of me. Like, hey, I always wanted to go to Africa and I never had the courage, or I've never had the time, or I never knew how to do it. And so when people would literally tell me that, I would take their address and willingly like mail them a necklace or mail them a purse, just because I wanted them to have something that they felt like was out of their grasp.
Okay, that's awesome. And so what is one of your most memorable memories when you traveled to Kenya at the age of 22?
Wow, that's a good one. I have a few, but I think my most memorable encounter was I had a friend named Brody. My sister connected us through a sister. So I had a friend named Brody, and I also had a friend named Paula. And so they taught me a lot about the different tribes there. And so they introduced me, I want to say, into almost 36 of the 43 tribes. And one of the tribes that resonated most through a tribe mate that I met through them was in the Kumba village. And so while I was there, people would try to figure out, like, this girl, we think she's African, but she doesn't behave like a traditional African. Something is different. And so I would tell them, like, I am Black. And they would say, like, I know that you're Black, but where are you from on the continent? And so I would have to explain to them, like, you know, Beyonce, you know, Rihanna, like, I'm like that. Like, I'm an African, but I'm not an African. And so there was a woman sitting there, and she said something in Kumba, and the person translated. And the translation was, this is the daughter of our ancestors, and now she's come home. And so, yeah, so that night, they gave me every piece of home. They taught me how to cut firewood. I have videos of that on my YouTube channel, but they taught me how to cut firewood. They taught me how to carry it on my head. They taught me how to waste wine around the fire. They made my waist beads. They taught me how to make traditional foods. Like, they really welcomed me home. And so that is one of my most like memorable experiences out of all of my time in Africa.
Wow, that's amazing. And then when you were in Africa, did you see like children or teens sewing there?
I did. I actually seen like a lot of kids. I shouldn't say that I've seen a lot of kids sewing, but it is a trait that their parents did well. And so they kind of inherited it by secondhand. But one of the things that we offer at my orphanage is the trade of sewing. And so we have a tailor come in, and she will help the kids make like sewing, like clothing, or repair their uniforms so they don't have to buy a uniform. But what I've noticed most is that the little girls at the orphanage make doll clothes. And I'm like, that is not, that's not what I was paying for, sis. Like, I was paying for you to learn how to repair your uniforms. But yes, they definitely sew while they're there. But they sew what they want to sew. Like I said, they sew baby doll clothes, or, you know, they sew ruffles around their socks. They sew little things.
And can you talk to us a little bit more about the orphanage?
So the orphanage has Mama Fueza, has 50 kids consistently at the facility because those kids go to the public school around the surrounding area. The others go to boarding school, so maybe it's about 100 of them. They attend boarding school during high school, or they're attending university, and they either get to stay at the dorm and come home during the holidays. Because at my orphanage, they don't age out. We allow them to stay there until they get their college degree. Yeah, so once they have their college degree, they're able to work and find a job for 2 months, save, and then we allow them to leave the home. That way they have like a solid foundation before leaving.
Wow, that's awesome. That is amazing.
It is. But I actually want to hear you two guys talk about fashion. Now we've got a couple of minutes before we break for commercial, but we'll certainly let Kalia lead in. Because Kalia, you're introducing, or you've got a couple of pieces in your shop of African fabrics that you use, and you'll tell us a little more in detail about that. But how about showing us your first piece? And you can share with Angie how you got into the fashion industry.
Okay, so I wouldn't really consider this to be my first piece, but I do want to show this piece, and I also want to show another piece. So this piece that I am going to show is an Ankara top and skirt, and I actually purchased this fabric from Paris. So my husband and I were in Paris for about 2 weeks. And
yes, I love Paris.
We were walking on like strip or area.
Oh my goodness!
It's going to be 4 years that I've had this outfit, and I cannot fit it, but I kept it because it is my favorite. But we were walking down this like little strip area in Paris, and there was a fabric store.
Beautiful.
Laces and like satin and just so many different fabrics, but they had a section that was just dedicated strictly towards African and Ankara fabrics. And so this fabric really stuck out to me, and so I purchased it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Beautiful.
When I came back home, I made this outfit out of it, and I made my husband my mom made my husband a matching bow tie to go with my outfit. And I wore it to church, and I posted it on Facebook, and I received so many people wanting the outfit. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm from Paris, I only bought 6 yards. Like, how in the world how am I going to make this for other people? And so my husband was like, well, let's see if we can find any information from the store we went to. And so he was able to find it online, but of course everything was in French.
Yes.
There was no like translation or anything, but he does speak a little bit of French. So he was able to place an order for fabric. So I was able to get about maybe like 24 yards, and I was I was able to make a few outfits from it. But this is one of my favorite pieces this is African fabric from Paris. And then
I love that.
Thank you. Another piece that I was showing Cheryl earlier was this outfit. And a lot of times when people think of African fabric or Ankara or just African attire overall, they think of like prints like this, which is Ankara, or like what I just showed. When there are different types of materials that comes up underneath, African. And so this is one fabric.
Beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Oh my goodness. Kalia, hold that thought, and we'll see that piece in just a second, but we're going to pause. Ladies, turn your videos off as we listen to one of our sponsors, Moffitt Cancer Center. Back after the commercial. Mute your phones.
Cancer affects everyone, but minority populations are often hit hardest. Moffitt Cancer Center is working to address the barriers that keep some groups from getting the care they need. African Americans develop cancer at a younger age, have more aggressive cancers, and experience worse outcomes than the general population.
While cancer treatment is evolving with precision medicine, who is being left behind? We know for many decades that some groups experience a greater burden of cancer than others. We can prevent it, we can detect it early. It's very beatable when we find it early. I have worked with cancer patients during their treatment. All cancer patients have courage.
So my treatment was about 18 months. I had 3 cancers and 7 surgeries. But my son told me, like, Mom, you're the strongest person that I know. Moffitt saved my life.
During COVID-19, Moffitt is a safe place for your cancer care. Call now to schedule an appointment.
Strong, beautiful women take charge of their lives, and it starts with learning the facts. Did you know that most women diagnosed with breast cancer have no known risk factors or family history? And it's more deadly for Black women than any other race or ethnic group. But it doesn't have to be. If you're over 40, regardless of your race or ethnicity, you need to get a mammogram every year. Early detection saves lives. Talk with your doctor about the best screening plan for a strong, beautiful you.
Champions don't quit, but there's one kind of quitter I admire: former smokers. If you're over 55 and still smoking, or even if you quit years ago, talk with your doctor about lung cancer screening, even if you have no symptoms. It's quick and painless. Lung cancer is the nation's most deadly cancer, but screening can better the odds. Ask your doctor if it's right for you. Together, we can be champions over cancer.
And we are back. Thank you so much to our In Touch News family, to our Facebook friends for tuning in to Let's Talk Business with SJC, and my fourth hour co-host, Kalia Campbell O'Neill. We're here with our special guest, Miss Anji Degante, and we were just hearing about some of her exciting experiences, how she got into her business. Now, Kalia is showing us some of her fashions, and these two are going to continue their conversation, woman to woman, fashion to fashion. And Kalia, you've got quite a few, and just following you on your Facebook stories, you've got quite a few African pieces. Angie, so much so that she had to publish her cutoffs for those that wanted their African designs made and to be received in time to wear them during Black History Month. Kalia.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Daryl, that it happens every year, so I'll start promoting, Black History Month and getting your authentic Ankara designs. I'll promote it around like November, December, because I know people like to wait until the last minute. And once February comes, that's prom season for me. So I'm not really trying to focus on designing the Ankara and the African prints during the actual month, because it takes time to, order materials and cut and sew and all of that. So I like it to be done ahead of time, so when the month comes, you already have your outfit and I'm not scrambling and all of that. So yeah, I have to have that cut off to make room for the upcoming months for prom and wedding season and all of that. So yes. So
then show us the rest of that beautiful outfit. And you use that term Ankara. So for our radio listening audience, help them to understand what exactly that means.
Okay, so for example, this is Ankara fabric. This is a pink and green that I'm going to be making a dress out of this for AKA for the event that you're going to, the event you're going to next week. This is her fabric. So when you see this, you'll know that this is a KCD design.
One of your originals.
Earlier when Angie showed that clutch, I noticed the top of that clutch was the ending of a dashiki print that I normally use for like dresses, and it comes with like a emblem in the middle. Are you familiar with it? So yeah, so I noticed the little lines, and I actually
in Kenya we call it masala.
Okay, so you guys call it masala, and then I guess here and I guess in America they call it dashiki. I'm not sure, but yeah. So this dress though, this material is actually from Nigeria. One of my clients, she's from Nigeria, and all of her fabrics are authentic Nigerian fabrics. She has laces, beaded fabrics, and so she will take a trip to Nigeria a couple times a year, and she'll order fabrics and have them shipped back here to the US. And so she had a shop where she sold authentic Nigerian fabrics, Ankara and all of that, which I'll actually be having a few pieces in my store. But yes, I got this fabric from her about 2 or 3 years ago, and I made this dress from it, and this was actually a really, really big hit for me. It's a really beautiful material. It's almost like a satin.
Kalia, hold it right in front of you so that we can appreciate the design.
It's beautiful.
Perfect. Absolutely beautiful.
And it
oh
has
my
like
goodness.
On it.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And the embroidery Eating is flawless.
Yes. And then I'm not sure if you received the images that I that I sent to your email, Cheryl.
Let's see, Ricky, and while Ricky is checking, look what's in my office.
Ooh, gorgeous.
Wow.
That is beautiful.
That's from Accent Styles Boutique.
I love it. That's
We
Yes,
needed
it's a
something. We
leather
needed
clutch.
something to match my earrings.
Is that vegan leather too?
That is not vegan leather.
Okay.
That is leather from a Maasai tribe. Maasai people are known for like having lots and lots of cattle. But I support them because they use every single part of the cattle. They use the bones for accessories. They use I think I have like an accessory here. I had a wallet. Let me grab one. They actually use like the cow skin, as you can see here. I'm not sure if you can see it.
Yes,
Oh,
we
I
can.
use like
Cool.
every single part of the cow, whether it's for a carpet or whether it's for a purse. They use the blood for medicine to treat HIV and mad cow disease. So they use every single part of the cow, and so that purse that you have is the leather from the Maasai tribe.
Wow.
Thank you. Well, Khalil, let's segue to the print that I'm looking at. That dress has my name all over it.
Okay, so yes,
It's beautiful.
this material. So tell me what the name is. What do they consider that material to be in Kenya? So we call it dashiki. That's
I think it's masala print. Like they call it masala.
masala. Okay, so yeah,
Okay.
so masala.
Masala.
Yes, mermaid dress. So the top is like a cape, and then the bodice and hip portion is a stretch, like a black stretch neoprene fabric, and then of course the rest of it, the bottom is the mermaid, which is the masala fabric. So that was a dress that I made for a client in Texas. She was having a African themed birthday party on a cruise ship, and so that's what she ordered to wear for her birthday. So that is what I designed.
Definitely looked like the birthday girl. She definitely
Yes.
no mistaking whose party it was.
And I'm not sure if he has the other ones. Yes. Okay, so that is he's an AKA, and she attended a Nigerian wedding that happened here in Tampa, maybe like on New Year's Eve day. And so I made a matching shirt for her husband. And this is the fabric that she chose, and it had the swoop bag with the mermaid train. And when she got the dress, I asked her, I was like, "Are you sure the bride is okay with you wearing that? That's a big." She's like, "No, she's cool. She's cool with it." And I'm like, "Okay." But yeah, so that was the dress.
Yes. I'm just gonna chime in and say that if for any listeners out there, if you are invited to a Nigerian wedding, by all means, like, do not downplay yourself. Do not fear that you are going to look better than the bride, because it is an absolute fashion show. And I guarantee you, the bride is going to have 4 dresses. You're never going to upstage her. Literally, people have been in the shade room for going viral about like how fly the guests are that attend Nigerian weddings. Like, you know, you can show up with anything you want to show up with except for a veil. Other than that, like, show out, sis. Show out, King. If you're tuning in, make sure you have a custom suit. Pop into her boutique. Tell her that you need a custom made item, because Nigerians do not come to play.
They do not.
Oh my goodness. And what is the theme of our show? Own your fashion culture. And that's exactly what they do. If that's what you got, rock it, wear it, and feel amazing in it. Ricky, can you go back to that other print? The young lady, oh my gosh, that is absolutely beautiful.
Gorgeous. You know, I think that's one of the many things that connect the African Americans and African community.
Yes.
We are very into, like, how do we show up to a function? Did the kids take a bath? Do they have on their quote unquote Sunday's best? And so that is like an overall like African tradition and African trait to like always have on your best, always be prepared. You know, you don't show up to the family cookout just wearing anything. You know, sometimes we even go and buy a new outfit. And I think that speaks like to the spiritual, like African traits within us that we sometimes don't even know exist.
That is awesome. And the fabrics are amazing. And to see Kalia then bringing in even more of the Afrocentric pieces, whether it's Ankara or whether the Messiah, or as you call them, Daishiki, own your culture. It's part of your heritage. Own it.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Angie,
And I love how she does a Western twist. Her designs are beautiful.
They are absolutely
They're
beautiful.
And it's
And
so
I
true.
can see the two of you collaborating together as well.
So what I was going to say is so true, because there's actually a few people at my church that are like from Nigeria, and they wear their culture's garments. I love to see it. Like the wife and the daughter, she'll come in with the dress on, and to us, you know, some people, it's foreign to us. Like, why are they dressed up like that? And you know, her dress has a train on it, and her daughter's dress has a train on it. But that's their culture. That's how they want to dress and express themselves. And I think it's a beautiful thing, you know, for each culture to express themselves, you know, in what they wear. And so I think it's just really beautiful when I go to places and I see people dressed up, and even, you know, if you're Indian and they're Indian saris or whatever culture you're from, I just think it's very beautiful to see the different cultures expressing themselves through fashion.
There you stated expressing yourselves in fashion. So you share with us a lot. We know a little bit about who you are, what you're passionate about. Let's talk about the part of your work where you just give back, where you give back to mankind, and let our radio listening audience and my co-host as well understand how you give back, and how has that humanitarian experience been for you, Miss Angie, at 30?
Yes, and me turning 30 is that's a whole nother interview, because that week I was on edge until the clock hit 12, until I turned 30. Like, anyone would, I think that ticked me off. That might have ticked me. Like, when people would, they really ruffled my feathers all that week. I was out of character. Like, hey, I am turning 30 on Sunday. You guys need to calm down. That was a whole movement. But at any rate, giving back has been endless with Accent Styles Boutique. We have the Pen Pal program, where you can partner and write some of the kids at the children's home, at the orphanage. We also have a partnership where Tariva, I can't think of her last name right now, I believe she works for the company Fadeology.
Yes.
Yes, with Vibes. That's the way I typically associate her. But her and her husband have donated several clippers to the orphanage in Kenya, and the boys there have learned that trait, and they learn that skill, and they're able to perfect it through barbers virtually. They give them tips, they give them pointers. We give back as far as groceries. You're able to log into the website www.accentstylesboutique and donate groceries or sanitary napkins. You're able to get on the tour. You're able to donate your time, either virtually or in person, if you have the background to assist with education. We have supplied over 230 kids with scholarships, over 300 homes with electricity in the Kalawa Kamba village. And so the give back is endless. It is, I could go on, and I wish I could. Like, the girls are learning how to sew. We have a tailor that comes in to sew. We have our own greenhouse. So the orphanage 100% at this point sustains itself. We have solar energy.
Awesome.
They grow their own food. They grow cotton to make their own clothing sometimes. They grow carrots and kale, and we have the farm animals for milk, and we have bees for honey. And so they are really able to really sustain at this point. The things that they typically buy when we buy groceries are crisps, which are like potato chips. They buy fruit snacks. You know, the things that younger kids would want, the things that we can't grow, you know, like those are the things that they go and purchase. And so the giving back never stops. It's consistent.
That's awesome. And kudos to you for the work that you're doing over there for your school. You didn't talk much about your library, but people can go on your website and learn about all the things that you are doing. I was reading in your stats, and you kind of alluded to it a moment ago, the number of scholarships and the homes and the dollar value of the give back has just been incredible. And to think that you started with just a book drive. When I first met you, that's what you were working on, a book drive for your students over in Kenya. And here today, you have a home over there and a whole village that you support. We are just so proud of you, Anji.
Thank you. I'd also like to take the time to, Lola Benet, if you're tuning in, Lola Benet has partnered with some libraries, I think in Hillsborough County and Pinellas County, and she has donated thousands of books. We are building an entire new wing in Nairobi onto the library just to hold the books that she has donated. And so she has given back a lot. Ernie Moore, I believe she does More Visions Photography. She has donated Kindles. She's donated laptops. She's donated computers. She's also gone to Kenya and donated her time. And so there's a whole team of people. I mean, once you get into naming, it never ends. But I am really, those people have definitely, like in this last quarter, have definitely donated a lot. Even Lola Morgan, she's donated some courses and given back $5,000 to up and coming businesses. So I'm giving back, but there definitely people are giving to me, and I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for them.
Hi, Leah.
That is awesome. That is amazing. One of the questions that came to my mind was, when you went to Kenya and you were able to like meet the children and, you know, interact with them, how did you not, I'm trying to see how I can word this. How did you balance like with meeting them and then having to come back home and that attachment and like the environment and like your heart? I know like when you go and you see the environment and things like that, how did you cope with that? Like what got you through?
And not bringing them all back home.
Not bring that, you know,
right?
Here.
I always want to bring them home. I think I didn't have to face that feeling initially, because the first time I went to Kenya, I decided not to come back. I decided to live there. And so I was there for years. And so the bond got really close. The girls, I provided like a cell phone for the home. And so they would text me and they would call me, and I was 5 minutes in walking distance. I would see them often. And so I never had to face that feeling until I decided to come back to the US. And when I did, like, it was heart-wrenching. Even though the girls would message me like every day, it still didn't feel the same. Video chat it felt like a bad breakup. That's probably like the best equivalence that I have to it. Or for any people that are in the military and you have to leave your partner or your child, like that is what it felt like to me. Like I really felt like I was like losing a person. I was mourning a person. And so I just try to go back as much as possible. I just try to like stay consistent in giving. Most importantly, I try to keep my word. I never make promises that I can't keep, because I feel like they're my kids and they never forget. They will remind you like, Anji, you said you were coming in September and you didn't come. And so to avoid like the hurt after experiencing that, I'm just like, I keep my word. If I say that I'm coming in October, no matter what is happening, I don't care if it's a festival, I don't care what it is. I am like, I have to go see my kids. I promised them I was coming in October, and that's what I'm doing. And so any engagement does not out-trump them. Any moment, any party, any wedding that people invite me to, I'm like, it doesn't out-trump my kids, because I've made that promise. And so keeping my word is how I cope with the distance.
That's awesome. Wow.
It really is. Now, you have our radio listening audience. You talked about some of your philanthropic giving and how we can also support you. What's your need now for your kids?
My need now for the kids, I would say, is electronics. Like their biggest need right now is one, electronics, if you have that bandwidth, or if you would like to give something that doesn't require a monetary donation, like old electronics, you can definitely give your time. Doesn't have to be in person. You can do it virtually. We can connect you to a Zoom and you can read to them at night for bedtime, or you can pen pal and write them. So the giving doesn't always have to be monetary. If you have a little person or if you have the time, you can definitely give back virtually, and it's free, right?
Yeah, it is. It is free. And we challenge those who are listening in to please do your part. I love just being an outsider and being able to help you wherever you are. I think this time around, I'm going to try the pen pal, since I love to write. And I think that will just be a welcoming piece for me. Now back to the electronics. do they have to be a certain grade? Like, for instance, if you're a business owner and you've got 4 computers or laptops, you're not using them anymore. Is that something you ship to Kenya?
It is something that I can ship. It doesn't, I say like it doesn't have to necessarily be gently used. We do have repair shops where they can be refurbished.
Awesome.
We also have partnered with Echelon Computers where they can repair a screen or a laptop or an iPad if it needs to be serviced. She can remove any viruses. So I say if you have something, you never know if it's useful. If it isn't useful to you, please bring it and donate it. Like, we will be the judge. And at the end of the day, it is the thought that counts. Like, the fact that you grabbed an old computer or an old phone from your home and you drove it in hopes to give to someone else, I hope makes your heart full in itself.
I love that. And I want to segue because I heard you talk about Echelon Computers, and that's one of our collaborators, Justine Anderson. And this is why I love the campus of 5508 Co-working Collaborative Exchange. I actually met Kylie there many years ago. We were doing an event. I don't remember who was hosting the event, but it was a pop-up in our co-working space. Could have been the introduction and the opening of the co-working space. And she was there. I met Anji on the campus of 55. You actually came to my office. Someone told you about me and the Black Pages, and you came to my office. And your office is there too, Dave. My office is there. How do you end up selecting 5508 as the place for Accent Styles Boutique? Anji?
I think it kind of happened. I attended a Millennial Mixer that I was invited to. I don't remember who I was invited by. And I remember talking about like my passions and some of the accessories. And I met a woman, I can't think of her last name. Her name is Jeanette. I believe that she was here at 5508.
Oh yeah, Jeanette Bradley.
Yes, and I had a very intimate conversation with her about my passion and my goals. And so she encouraged me to kind of like look for a spot here, but there was a year wait list. And I was like, well, what do I do for a year or 2 years as I wait to open a store? And so I went back to Kenya because that was my initial dream. I went back to Kenya and I built my home, and I kind of got very comfortable doing the work there. And when I came back, voila, like the space was available. I was already like halfway through the list. And so it just happened naturally. Like, I had some push from some family and some friends, like, hey, you really need to open a store. I believe that you can do it. It was just about finding the right location. And this place genuinely felt like home. It felt good.
And you're still there. And this is not, that's not your first shop. This is your second shop on the campus of 5508.
This is, in the matter of like 5 or 6 months, I outgrew my first space and I had to move to a bigger space. And so I'm grateful for that.
And we are so excited that you are there. You're on the campus. I just love the brightness, the colors, the energy, the guests that come on the campus, the fact that in front of your office is that huge courtyard that you have maximized the usage of. I think is just phenomenal. So any other fashion tips you'd like to share, Kylia, with our guests before we leave?
You said fashion tips?
Or just in conversation in general?
Not really. I do. Go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, when she mentioned Paris and the African strip, I absolutely love Paris, and I think one of the many reasons is because of its African presence. Because West Africa was colonized by the French, they happen to speak French as a second or third language. And so France is very comfortable with them, France and Canada. And so you get that African culture, but with the European feel. And so the buildings and the architect is very different, and the food is very different, and the clubs and the restaurants, everything is very different, but you still have like that African flair that you cannot deny. Immediately when you see like their stature and the way they are laying their clothes, it doesn't matter what they're wearing, like, this person is African. Like, the energy resonates, like, you just know. And so I love like their subtle African influence while in Paris. It's beautiful.
Oh, listening to you guys talk about one of the favorite places that's still on my bucket list. Although I have it as a gift, it was my birthday gift, but because of the pandemic and what we're going through, I've not been able to make that trip. So by the time we bring you two back on the show again, I should have already had that experience. I just want to take this time out, Anji, to say you already know how I feel. Love you, love you, love you. Appreciate what you're doing. Appreciate at your age. Your give back is just amazing. And it is just my wish and my dream for you that you continue to soar in doing what you are doing. Service is so important, even if we can just help someone on a smaller scale. And I appreciate that about you. Seeing what Kalia is doing with her God-given talent and gift, and just putting smiles on so many people with her beautiful, beautiful fashions. I couldn't even get my appointment in. She mentioned that beautiful pink and green piece. She was designing that for an AKA. Well, coming up in a week will be the City of Tampa's African American Committee. They will be hosting the honorees for 2022, their unsung heroes. There are 12 of them that they will be featuring. Ricky, if you have that flyer, and I'm just so, my heart is warmed because I happen to be one of the 12 that's going to be honored on February 1st. Yes.
Yes.
At the convention center. And to be able to look out and see that Kalia, one of her designs, is going to be there just warms my heart. So I will be pairing something from Accent Styles Boutique, because I think it's just apropos for us to, in owning your own culture, it also means wearing it and sharing it and supporting those. I look forward to supporting both of you ladies. So yes, that's where we will be on February 1st. And then on February 2nd, we will be celebrating the 3rd year of Let's Talk Business on In Touch News. And I'm so excited because we toast last year on the 2nd anniversary with my granddaughter's lemonade, Maya's Lemonade. So we'll be looking to make that toast again. And so that's what it's all about. Helping others and doing what you can do to be a blessing to others. So yeah, there it is. Hidden Figures. It's the City of Tampa celebrating their Hidden Figures honorees. And so our own, and you know, both of those ladies, they've both been on the campus. As a matter of fact, Tiffany Greenberry interviewed me a couple of years ago. Her dad, Dale Green, had a radio talk show, and she wanted to know about the Power of 31, which you, Anji, participated in, that I've hosted on that campus. And so it's just great seeing how all of this is coming together. So final thoughts. We'll start with you, Kalia, then we'll go with Anji, and I'll come back and wrap it up. Ladies.
It was an amazing show, and I am so glad I had the opportunity to meet Anji and to see the boutique and to just hear all the amazing things that she's doing, and the way she's giving back to not only our community, but to also back in Africa. And I am definitely interested in being a part of giving back to the children in Africa. If I can, donate something or do the PayPal or the Zoom video, I'm definitely interested in that. And I would also like for some of my students to be able to see them. I know that would be something that they would be interested in. So I'll connect with you on that. But it was such a pleasure meeting you, and you are doing an amazing job. And I pray that.
Love it.
Thank you. I have had an amazing time. I love seeing all of her on take with the African fabric, with the Western twist. Absolutely adore it. Some of the pieces that she showed from the wedding, I feel like I've seen online. I think I've seen her sharing them recently. Yes. So I am very honored to sit in the presence virtually of two very beautiful women inside and out. I'd like to say that although we both make beautiful designs for our listeners, remember that the best accessory you could ever wear is confidence. So whatever you decide to wear it well, wear it proud, wear it bold.
All right, you heard it. Wear it well, wear it proud, wear it bold. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to all for tuning in to Let's Talk Business with SJC. Thank you to my co-host and my guest, Anji Degante. This show is a wrap. Bye-bye.
Champions don't quit, but there's one kind of quitter.
Record.
I admire.